Hi, Josh here from PlayerStats. I'm going to put together an overview video for every feature that PlayerStats platform offers. I'm going to start with team stats. So let's click on Arsenal and go to their team statistics page. As you can see, you're presented with the last 30 games of raw data for the team's statistics, and we can do all sorts of things with this data. So we can toggle the totals, which adds together both Arsenal stat, which is the 12 there, and then the opposition stat, which is the small stat in the bottom right hand corner. We can add them together using toggle totals, so you can see the totals for their last 30 games. And we can also switch off competitions and home and away venues. So if we only want to see Premier League home games, we can untoggle those, and we're presented with this set of fixtures. We can reset those fixtures, those filters here, and we can select last 50 games or just this season's history, and that will reload the page and just show you this season's games. You can also toggle it to their next head-to-head. So if we want to see just the head-to-head versus Fulham, that gives you, going back 4 or 5 years, we can see all of the games versus Fulham and the stats that they had. So let's reset those again. Another cool feature on this page is that you can customize this table to suit your needs. So we can uncheck all of the rows that we're not necessarily interested in, and then we can reorder these to our specific needs. So let's put fouls at the top and get rid of a few more down here. And now if we save this, you'll see that the table will change to your customized needs. So it's a lot shorter, so you can customize it to just the data that you are interested in. Okay, let's move on to player stats. We've got this nav down the left-hand side here, which breaks all of the stats down. So we've got shots on target, fouls committed, fouls drawn. Let's go to fouls committed, and we are presented with the Arsenal squad's data for fouls committed. So let's scroll down here. You can see all of the squad that's recently played, and it will show you the last 30 games worth of data in a really raw format. So if we just highlight Mikel Merino here, he had 3 fouls committed in his last game, 2 before that. The green background represents minutes played. So if the box is full, they played the full game. If the green background comes from the right-hand side, it means that they were substituted on. We've got all of the same filtering systems here. So we're on 24-25 season. Let's just do Premier League games. So let's switch off those competitions. We've also got a really cool feature here called Super Sub. So if we enable Super Sub, this is in line with the bookie features. So it adds together the stats from the replaced player and the substitute. So as you can see, Thomas Partey had 2 fouls against Leicester. If we switch Super Sub on, that line got to 3 with Jorginho as the replacement. Let's turn all the leagues back on. Another feature here is we can highlight the table. So let's put a 3 in here, and that'll highlight any time the 3+ line was met. Let's get rid of that. And we can also see the lineups for each of these games by clicking on the little pitch icon here. So let's click there. We can see the lineup for Arsenal with that particular stat against Chelsea, and we can click on the Chelsea tab to see what they got for fouls committed as well. We can just toggle through the stats here or through the fixtures, and we can see Arsenal's lineup, PSV's lineup with the fouls committed on the pitch itself. The other feature on this page is the player history. So let's click on Thomas Partey's graph here. And as you can see, we have a graph that breaks down the last 20 matches, but this will also include their international form as well. So not just Arsenal. As you can see, Ghana, he didn't get any fouls for the last 2 games, and then it switches back to the Arsenal fixtures here. Okay, let's move on to another feature called opposition stats, which are down here on the left-hand side of the nav. We've got against stats. So let's select fouls committed. And you're going to be presented with a page with all of the opposition's formations and positions on the same page. So you can quickly scroll through and see the opposition data. This is for spotting trends positionally. So let's highlight a number here called, let's just do 2 fouls committed. And as you can see, this will highlight any number for Chelsea that had the 2+ line, 4 fouls committed in that game. And this enables you to maybe see any trends for positional plays. So as we can see here, just at a glance, the right back or the right midfielder may be committing fouls against Arsenal. So you got Chelsea's right back Fofana here had 4 fouls committed. You've got Till here, who's the right central midfielder, and you've got Mazraoui, who's the right wing back. All scored fouls committed against Arsenal. This enables you just to spot trends. Arsenal might not be the best to show this, but it enables you to see the feature in its entirety, which saves you time clicking through games, clicking through formations, and it's really good for spotting any positional trends. Okay, so the next feature is our newest feature, and it's called Prop Finder, and you'll find it in the top nav up here. Here you're presented with a form where we can analyze, or we can search all of the data for our set criteria. It will make more sense when I go through it. So let's select next Tuesday. Because I know the Premier League's on, let's select Premier League from our leagues, and we're building up a list of fixtures here to analyze essentially. Now we need to put some stat criteria in, so I'm going to select a stat that I'm interested in. I'm going to go for fouls committed, but we can do tackles, or we can do shots, fouls committed, and down here is our criteria selector. So we could do threshold, which is more than, for example, 5 fouls committed in their last 10 games. We can do streak, which is at least 1 in 5 consecutive games, and we can change these to be whatever we want. And then my favorite, which is hit rate. So let's do 80% hit rate of 1+ fouls in their last 10 games. We can also filter this down by position and home or away, but I'll show the rest of that in a minute. Let's go find some players. So as you can see, it's going and analysing these teams one by one and bringing you back results. So these players here have met our 80% hit rate for 1+ fouls committed. If we scroll down, we're presented with all the players that are playing or potentially playing in these games that meet our criteria of 1+ fouls and an 80% hit rate over their last 10 games. We can filter this down a bit further and only select, for example, midfielders. So let's unselect defenders and attackers. And we can do where they played more than 45 minutes. If we want to include their international history as well, because at the moment this just includes their domestic history, we can do full player history. And that will then include any international games that they've played over the last few weeks. So, for example, we've got 2 UEFA Nations games for Lukic here. And you can see Sanderberg was also hitting fouls in his international duty as well. It's a really cool tool just to play around with, to find any data that you're interested in. We recently rebuilt it so that it analyzes 1 game at a time rather than the whole league. And it's just a really great tool just to start your research with, essentially. The last feature I want to show you is our in-play dashboard, which is up here. And this essentially shows fouls or any other data such as fouled and shots on target for all of the in-play games, all on one screen, so you can see all the data for any league at any one point in time. So as you can see here, we're on the fouls tab for the Dynamo Zagreb game. And as you can see, Medina has got 2 fouls and a yellow card. We can see shots and shots on target here, and we can toggle all players off. So if they're on 0, they'll be toggled off. But the cool thing about this is you can set up notifications up here using manage notifications. And if you hook up your Telegram, you can get notifications when a player reaches 2 fouls, 3 fouls, 4 fouls, and 5 fouls plus. So you can switch some of these off and just get a notification for specific leagues when a player, for example, reaches 5 fouls in play. That's quite useful for betting on yellow cards in play if you want to, which is quite a cool feature, very popular amongst our users.